You're listening to Tipsy Book Reads. I'm Rebecca.
I'm Jess.
And I'm also Jess.
And we're tipsy.
Too many books on my TBR. Yeah. This podcast is like a book club for the antisocial. We make a drink inspired by the book we read and talk crap about life and fictional characters. We really hope you listen and drink along.
Side effects of listening to this podcast may include reading vivaciously, extreme bouts of laughter, tipsiness from craft cocktails, talking shit about life and fictional characters. Listen at your own risk.
Just a warning, this podcast is explicit. We are all over 21 and there are spoilers. We warned ya.
Well, welcome to the podcast. We're so excited that you're here. Literally, we've been what is it called? Online friends, I feel like now for a while. So it's been so awesome, chatting with you and stuff. But how are you doing?
I'm so excited. I don't think I've been so excited to be on a podcast ever. So
That's really sweet.
You guys are some of the first I followed of the Bookstagram sort of account and everything. So I was just I'm honored to be here.
We're honored. Oh my gosh,
That's amazing.
So cool. So do you want to tell us a little bit about you and you as an author and maybe some of your books, and then we'll go into some questions?
Sure. I have been writing since fourth grade. I used to write short stories that was my husband. So I used to read them out loud for friends and family, and I always loved the response that I would get when I could make someone laugh or I could make someone gasp. And as a fourth grader, I was I'm going to be a writer one day. I want to be a novelist. This is what I'm going to do. And then I started working at a newspaper and a magazine, and so I was doing articles, and I was okay, this I can do. I can do the, beginning, middle, and end in 2 pages, condensed. I can't write a book. And then 2 years ago, my dad passed away suddenly, and I was I can't be in my own head. I'm going to write a freaking book. So I wrote Adopting Secrets, and then I wrote In Pages Left Behind, which is actually his story. It's fictionalized heavily, but it's in honor of my dad. So that's kind of my little journey as a writer.
You wrote those 2 books in 2 years.
Yeah, actually, I wrote Adopting Secrets in a month, and then I wrote In Pages Left Behind.
So I have Adopting Secrets here. Fun fact, our little quote is on the back, which is so exciting.
Fun.
Yes.
But that's literally insane. That makes that even more impressive.
I really needed to get out of my head. I also published a Thanksgiving cookbook in the same month that I wrote Adopting Secrets. So I took all the photos, I made all the food, I did all the tablescapes, I put a cookbook together.
Sorry, why have you not told us about this?
I have them. I can go get them and show later, but I have 2 cookbooks and now 2 novels. So,
oh my gosh, that's incredible.
You're amazing. Holy cow.
Oh, thanks. Grief can do crazy things to the mind, and I just...
We are both Dead Parent Club.
Yep.
So we get the club we never asked to be in, but we get it with other people that have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not a fun club to be in at all.
No, nobody asked
but we could
be in it, but we're all here.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're all gonna get there eventually, but
that's so impressive. What did I do? I did nothing like that.
Nope. Nothing noteworthy.
It's kind of I guess we made the podcast.
I guess
that's a big
got
thing.
college degrees.
That's fair. That's fair. We did do college.
I don't have one of those, so
it's more impressive. What the heck?
Yeah, wrote 2 books and 2 cookbooks.
Oh,
well, I mean,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta
right?
do what you gotta do. I get that.
My kids ate a lot of microwavable dinners, and my husband never complained, and I thank him for that every day. So,
dude, I think that's when I started reading 100 books a year, actually, because I was just no thanks.
Yeah.
Reality sucks.
No thanks. Alrighty, so we have some questions for you. We'll dive in, and I'm sure we'll have more very dark-humored things to say throughout this.
Yes.
If anyone's a listener normally to this podcast, they know we have some insanely dark humor. All right. So, you just mentioned that you've written 2 books. What did you learn writing your second book that you didn't know the first time you were writing your first book?
Oh my goodness, so much. With the first book, Adopting Secrets, I knew absolutely nothing. So I queried a bunch of agents and didn't get any bites. So I decided to go the hybrid method. And I just learned a lot from it. Do I recommend it? No. Will I say I learned a lot from it? Yes. Would I have that information had I not done hybrid? Probably not. So I can't knock it completely. But I had more creative control with my second than my first, which is great. I have more, not just creative control, but fiscal control. I can see what I'm selling. I don't have to pay fees to a company that's kind of not doing much. I don't want to say that I fell for vanity publishing, because the publisher I did pick is a small publisher on the East Coast that I actually do like them a lot. But I think in today's day and age, self-publishing is so incredible. I can actually put my book on Kindle Unlimited. I couldn't with Adopting Secrets. I didn't have that power. So I've learned a lot. And editing wise too, I did the editing for my second book. So if you find errors, which you will, I apologize completely. I took as much of my background in editorial from magazines as I could, but it is hard with it's in my head. So as I'm reading it, I miss things. I do have a process though where I did it with Adopting Secrets too. When I get my author copy, my husband and I sit down, and he doesn't read any books unless it's about money because he's in finance. So he's never read a romance novel in his life, or a fantasy one. Like, he's never read Harry Potter, nothing. He's not a reader. But I did read him Adopting Secrets on our road trip, and then I read In Pages Left Behind while we were in the sauna, because we have a sauna. And
Awesome.
It's great because I can edit, and he goes, I wouldn't do that. I would say it this way. Maybe input this. Like with Adopting Secrets, there's a scene where Trevor is ordering a drink on his yacht, and I was saying he orders a scotch on the rocks. Well, my husband works in finance and knows all these open bars. You wouldn't say scotch on a rock. You would pick a specific scotch. Yeah. So he had me input a specific scotch. So it's fun. Yeah.
Little details.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So he has some input, and it's great because I also get to funnel it through him. And
That's awesome. I personally love when there's little misspellings or like little errors, because I'm just like, oh wait, this is human. Also a human.
Yeah.
Because I feel like anyone that writes a book, we're like, oh my god, put them on a pedestal, incredible. But just those little reminders that authors are also humans, I personally am like, okay, this is okay.
Yay. Well, I'm going to make your day because you're going to find at least 5, so.
Oh. Okay.
All right, so for In Pages Left Behind, kind of circling back to what we started talking about at the beginning, with it being something that so much truth is drawn from and it's inspired by something truthful, how did you find the balance between that and writing a fictional story? And then also, how did that impact you when coming from a place of grief?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. That's a deep question.
Sorry.
So sorry.
It was very therapeutic for me. I cried a lot writing this book. I actually had to stop a couple times. I'd say editing it was the hardest. I think I reread Adopting Secrets about 14 times before the final product, and within Pages Left Behind, it was probably 3. It's just kind of hard for me to read some of it. My family hasn't read it yet because the beginning part of it is so real. Like, that's what happened. It's dark. There was just no way for me to sugarcoat it. Yeah. Like, that was my reality, and I didn't know how else. I've always been that kind of person who, if I have a thought, it needs to be on paper, or it will either fester or I'll forget it. That's it. Like,
that's a fantastic point.
Yeah. There's no way for me to move on if I don't write it down. And so I wrote it down exactly how I remember that happening, and there were a lot of very specific moments, like the scene where Genesis has a dream and her dad is in the doorway.
Yeah.
That actually happened to me. I heard my dad clearer than I've ever in my life. He sounded younger, and it woke me up. He was saying, Noelle, Noelle, Noe, Noe, and it woke me up. And I do believe in the afterlife, so my soul believes that that was him saying goodbye rather than sleep deprivation, which also probably contributed to it because we were so tired. But that was very real. There were a lot of moments that were very real. There's a lot of the dark stuff is real. And I do worry about, actually I don't actually care if his family reads this and goes, oh, how dare you? Like, I actually cut them out because my dad was a child of 5. And in the story, he's an only child because they just don't have space in the novel. And it's sad, but that's just how it is. And
And it's a big story to tell, that putting the emphasis on him and his story, I feel like that had to have been important for you.
I felt like it was the right move. And I really wanted it to still read as a romance novel. So a lot of the things Genesis experiences were things that I experienced, but she is a single woman. I'm not. I'm married. My husband was the one who discovered my dad. I wasn't, which is such a blessing. She finds Adam, which is great, and Adam is supposed to be kind of this comic relief character from all the heaviness. That was my hope. But he carries his own darkness too. I really, really like to write characters who are kind of walking red flags, but I feel like everyone has red flags, and no one's perfect. Except for, I was texting my best friend last night. Her name's Julia, so she's she was heavy inspiration for Jules. And I think Jules is the only character I've ever written who doesn't have red flags.
That's really funny.
I think she might be the only one. But the places that you travel to in the book are places that my dad went to. My dad was a hairdresser on a cruise ship in Alaska. He was a lifeguard in Hawaii. He was a double-decker bus driver in London. So we do go to all these places in the book. And those were all real. His nickname was The Wave for a period of time.
Did he get a pen?
And then
Alaska?
Yeah. Oh, that story there's no fiction in that. That is exactly how he told me how that went down. That is to a T the story that I heard multiple times. He is friends with Michael McDonald of the Doobie Brothers, so I did get to go see them in concert a couple times. Like, all that stuff is true, and it's awesome. But no, my dad did not have a secret past, and I won't spoil it for people because that's kind of the plot twist. But the family secrets that Genesis unveils are not my reality.
That's fair. Additional trauma to everything.
Yeah. Like, I already did the overdose thing. Might as well layer it on thick.
Yeah, might as well. Hey, that is our kind of romance book. Honestly, if we're going to read a romance, you better just tear our heart out as well. Because literally any romance book that we read that doesn't have us on the verge of tears, we're like, I don't know. But all of the ones like Adopting Secrets and everything else that has so much going on and makes us feel things, we're like, okay, I like this.
Oh, thank you. I don't pick light themes. I think I might for a few books, but yeah, I pick pretty heavy stuff.
That's fair. But also I think it's funny that you write to escape reality and then you also write about such deep
That's
things.
so true.
No, it's true. But like I said, if I don't write it down, I fester on it. And then sometimes, like with Adopting Secrets, imagining someone's reality that's so much worse than mine also was helpful because it kind of put into perspective, like, not everyone goes through these intense traumas, but I can heal and it'll be okay.
Yeah.
And I have a great support system. And I did write that in the back of the book. Like, there are some things that I just felt I couldn't change. I couldn't escape the reality of the trauma that I went through, but it was fun to rewrite certain details and change certain themes. And I've never been to London, so that is a place that I am anxious to go to. But everywhere else I've been to, and those are actually my personal experiences. I've had a duck fart at the Red Dog Saloon in Alaska, and it burns a little when it goes down, but it does taste good.
That's cool. I love that you put so much real stuff in it.
Yeah. Yeah,
It just means a lot.
yeah, and I think it was really an important thing, everything that you wrote in your author's note, so that we all kind of got like a gist of it. And I'm sure whenever your family does read it, they'll be like,
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
my dad was an awesome human. He was awesome. And I felt a really intense calling to write about what addiction really looks like, because it carries its own face. It's the Jekyll and Hyde syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And there's such a stigma to it, where you almost can't differentiate between the person and the addict anymore. And I wanted to make it so that the two were separate.
Yeah.
That you can have a beautiful life and be a beautiful human, but have an addiction.
Yeah.
And I hate that it took him away from me so soon, but it didn't eclipse all of the good that my dad did in his life. So
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing all of that.
deep.
Yeah, that's what before we started this episode, we were like, okay, so how are we going to handle these questions? Because
I know.
we can go deep into all of the fun, the grief stuff. But
I'm an open book too. People ask, they're like, "Oh, how did your dad die?" I'm like, "Yeah, of an overdose, and it sucks."
Yeah, that's literally us. We're so blunt and everything when it comes. People will just say something like, "Oh, well, my mom's dead," and people just kind of look at us about some of the things that we say so bluntly, and
it's just the truth.
Yeah,
It is. It's just our reality, and it's hard for other people who don't experience those kinds of things to. It takes them aback. Like,
So many times people have been just, whoa, okay.
I don't recall exactly what I've said, but like there has been times where a friend of ours would be like, "You can't say that."
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, how do you know?
But I can. It's about my dead
like,
parent. Yes,
I'm
can.
sorry. I was at Jules' birthday dinner last year, and a bunch of us were sitting around a table, and they were talking about how at one point or another they'd like lived with their parents or grandparents, or how some of them currently were. And I thought it was a great idea to say, "Oh yeah, I live with my dad," and everyone looked at me like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, his ashes live on my mantle."
That's 100% something
we would say.
And I'm sure I can envision the looks that you were given, because we get those looks from shit we say all the time.
Yeah, I was the only one who laughed.
I mean, to be fair, at like a job that I worked at, the owner was an older man, and people are always like, "Are you sure that he's not your dad?" And I'm like, "I'm 100% sure. I can go grab the Ouija board for you real quick if we want to have a conversation with my actual dad."
Or people will make your mom jokes, and I'll just be like, "My mom's dead," and they'll just, your jaw will just drop, and I'm like, "Well, she is.
What do you want me to say?"
Like, I'm sorry. There's no other way to say it. Like, I mean, I guess, I don't know. Delivery is everything, but yeah, like,
It's
my dad's dead. My dad died. It is funny. I mean, if you can't laugh, I think my dad's up there in heaven laughing. I mean,
I know that my dad is just like literally kicking giggles at everything that I say. He's
Totally.
just that kind of person.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
let's chat a little about adopting secrets here.
Okay. I have a copy too.
I know I don't have the physical yet of In Pages Left Behind, but I will.
That's okay. It takes a while to print through Ingram, so.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I will say, like, quick side note story. I ordered this through Barnes and Noble, and I got all excited. I went in, I ordered it, and they were like, "It'll be a few days." I'm like, "Awesome! I'm going in vacation, in a week, so it'll be perfect to like have." I had already read it. I was gonna read it again, so I like am waiting and I'm waiting, and then I get an email and it says that it's ready, and I'm like leaving the next day. So I go and I drive in there and I say that I'm ready. Like this, "Hello, I'm Rebecca. I'm here for my book." And she's looking all around. I paid for it, by the way, prepaid for it, and
Yeah.
she can't find it anywhere. And I was like,
Uh-uh.
"Excuse me, here's my email that it says it's ready." And she's like, "Yeah, it's not here." And it was like an hour before closing, like a whole hour. And I shouldn't have named Barnes and Noble, but the bookstore that I got it from. Um, so then she's like, "Well, maybe it might be in the mailbox still." And I said, "I got this email like a day ago. You guys haven't checked your mail yet? That's wild." And she's like, "Yeah, no." And I was like, "I can wait here." And she goes, "Oh, no, you can come back tomorrow and get it." And I was like,
Excuse you.
"Excuse you." So that I had to figure it out when I got back from vacation, unfortunately. But I was like, that is so rude.
That is so rude.
I want my book.
I want my book.
Dang.
But it's fine. I got
Rude.
the book in the end. But I was just like, this only what happened to me.
Yeah,
Like
we have the signed copies too from you, but
Yes.
then she wanted the printed one that has our little quote
Yeah.
on it.
Oh, I know. The company that so the hybrid publisher, they sent out a mass email afterwards saying like, "Do you want your author copies when they're finished or the drafts?" I'm like, "Finished, please." So yeah, that's another thing I learned.
Yeah, that's
Fair
fair.
enough.
Yeah, so I have multiple copies.
Well, thank you. I can't even begin to express the appreciation for the support.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So we kind of talked a little bit about you starting to write these books, but for specifically Adopting Secrets, and then you can go, of course, into In Pages Left Behind, but it might be totally different.
Yeah.
Did you have any like routines or rituals when you started to write that kind of got you into the headspace of your characters?
Yeah. So Adopting Secrets is actually a very, very changed spin-off of a paper that I wrote in 8th grade.
Oh, I love that.
I know. Like, if you've read the story, for your readers who haven't, definitely not appropriate for an 8th grade paper.
No.
But
Were you okay?
I was gonna say no.
No. I don't actually know why the teachers didn't
Flag you?
that.
Send you to the therapist?
I mean, something. Hey, Mom and Dad, you might want to check on your kid. I don't think it went quite as dark, but it was, it inspired my cogs to start going. And then I've had the thought in my head for literally years and years and years. And then when my dad passed in September of 2022. And then November is National Novel Writing Month. NaNoWriMo. Have you guys ever heard of that organization? It's NaNoWriMo.org, I believe. And it's National Novel Writing Month. You write a novel in a month. And they do like a 50,000 word count. I doubled it because I wanted to write like a full novel, not just a novella. And that's what I did. It was 3,000 words a day.
Wow.
And whenever I got the time, I just sat down to write it. This is actually the first November in the last 3 Novembers, I guess, that I am not participating in NaNoWriMo. So, yeah, with the release of In Pages Left Behind, I just and we traveled a little bit, so I was like, I can't do it this month. But
So fair.
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I wrote In Pages Left Behind too, was I sat down and wrote it in November, so.
That is so freaking amazing.
Yeah.
It's fun. I highly recommend it. It really gets you into okay, I gotta do this, because you earn badges. You have like charts that show where you're going.
Yeah.
I would thrive off of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's great. They give you little awards. Like, you get to put your little cover on. It's amazing. Like, if you want to write a novel, NaNoWriMo, it's where to go.
I mean, I always say it amazes me when people sit down and write a book. So the fact that you did this in a month, I'm like, you're so freaking awesome.
To be fair, the ending I didn't write until December because I couldn't for the life of me, the love triangle situation, couldn't for the life of me figure out which character. I had to get into the headspace. I was like, I can't decide. I love them both. I don't know who's the winner here. And so...
That's fair.
And actually, I still get a lot of people messaging me like, you picked wrong.
I go back and forth. I go back and forth in my head. I don't know.
I may have been like, but I loved it still. I love when a book goes against what I like think is gonna happen, and so
Yeah.
at first I was like, what in the world?
Especially because Becca is so good about just predicting what's going to happen. I'm horrible. I'm just here for the vibes. But she will pinpoint what is going to happen so early on in a book. So when something throws her, it's serious.
It's an illness.
I did it.
Yes.
Yep. It was. Yep. I feel really good with the decision because I feel like these characters have more to say.
Mhm.
So I have a third book in the works right now.
Yeah,
It's oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I always say that though. I'm always like with Adopting Secrets, I was like, I'm so excited for In Pages Left Behind. And then now that that's done, I'm like, I'm so excited for the next one.
I love that though. That's so important
It's
to be
fun.
about it.
It is. I'll give you guys a little teaser. It's called The Soulmate Swap. And it's a rom-com based off of the fact that my ex-boyfriend and my husband's ex-girlfriend dumped us and married each other.
That's so
That's
funny.
awesome. I had to think that for a second.
I know, right? It's so small town, it's kind of disgusting. They're actually not married anymore, which it makes me really sad. But yeah, they got married a year before we did, and yeah. It was like,
So funny.
who's your ex? My ex? What? They're together, and we're together. It was really fun walking in to one of the parties. This was like, I was 18, 19 years old. So we were walking into the party for my ex's sister's graduation, track that. And they were playing pool. And my husband and I walked in, and they both just went, like, what are they doing together? Are you serious? Like, my ex and your ex just walked into the room.
Oh my gosh.
That-
together.
I cannot wait
That's
to
funny.
read this.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
So it'll be a little lighter than these two books. It'll be more of a rom-com, but yeah.
How do you feel writing a rom-com after writing such traumatic
Trauma.
experiences?
I'm really excited, actually.
Good.
I'm kind of tired of crying. I need a break.
Yeah, that's so fair. Sometimes you run
And
out
I
of
mean, I don't cry. Like, it's really hard for me to get tears. The only book I've actually cried in recently was the third book in the ACOTAR series. That one wrecked me a little bit. Yep. But I do get emotional, and I just feel like the heaviness.
Yeah.
I'm a very empathetic person, and so I'm like, I'm ready for some fun. Let's have some laughter.
Is that the book my review on Goodreads was? I didn't know a fairy book could make me cry. Was that the one? Is
Mm,
one of?
maybe.
I think it might be one of them. That was my review.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sarah J. Maas, she did it. I cried.
Have you read Throne of Glass yet? Oh, you are reading it, right, with us?
I'm reading it. I'm
Yeah.
on the third one. What is the Air of Fire? Is that what that one is?
We have to check it every time. I think it's.
I know.
Is that the one we're
Third
about
one.
to do?
Yes.
Yes, because it's Throne of Glass, then
Crown of
of
Midnight.
Midnight, and then we did the
Assassin's Blade.
Blade, and then we'll do Air of Fire.
Oh, okay. Someone told me to read Assassin's Blade last. Is that
Okay.
your recommendation, or should
Whatever
I
you want.
have whatever I want? Okay.
Read it.
I just read it. So I've read Throne of Glass 3 times now, and
Nice.
Assassin's Blade, that was the first time that I read it, was when we read it on the podcast, and I'm okay with my decision of waiting till the end.
Okay.
But I also can see why it's good to read it in the beginning too. Like, I can see both.
Okay.
I'm not mad that I didn't read it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Started
That's
with
good.
Assassin's Blade, and I'm glad that I did. Like, when I
Okay.
read it through the first time, because I feel that there's Easter eggs and stuff that I understood more of the end of the series, having read Assassin's Blade in advance. So there were
Okay.
things
That makes sense.
I was privy to that
Yeah.
you aren't if you don't read it.
And as someone who read it, it didn't bother me. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So I will say why I brought that up was Kingdom of Ash made me boohoo cry.
Oh, yeah. My sister-in-law read that on our Mexico trip in 2 days. She was halfway down on the plane. And I'm like, girl. Oh, I know. It's like bigger than the Bible. And she's just,
Wow.
yeah. And she was, I mean, I didn't see her cry, but she had a very emotional reaction to it. She's like, you gotta read this series.
I was listening to it because I can't read in the car, and I had a trip for one of my friends' weddings. We all got in like a van and went to an Airbnb in Tennessee, and they got married.
Awesome.
But it was my time to read that book, and it like when you'll see the book before it, you're like, I have to read the next one, and so I bought the book on audio, and I'm sitting there. I listened to it the entire time. Okay. First of all, there's some scenes I feel like I shouldn't be listening to when there's other people in the car, but I was just like totally in tune. I listened to it the entire trip. Like, I was such a little antisocial girly, but mostly at night when everyone was to bed, I would like put my headphones in and listen. And I was like, I kid you not, in my bunk bed, sobbing. At night. Nobody knew. But I was just like, and then I think I finished it and walked out one time when everyone was like mingling and like drinking and having a fun time, and I was just like,
You're like,
I'm so
okay.
happy.
It's just something I read.
I'm so happy you're getting married. This is my book. They all know me
so
too well.
funny.
They know me too well though, so they were like, "This is
What's wrong?
This is so on."
Dang.
They don't even worry about your real life. They're just like, what are you reading?
Yeah.
100%.
What's happening in your book? Yeah.
Yeah.
So just buckle up because it's a wild ride.
Oh, I'm excited. I took a pause to reread the Harry Potter series because that was kind of an obsession over October, and I'm still just like, I'm deep into it. I love Harry Potter so much. And then just read a few. I've got like some library fluffy romances that came up on my Libby, and I'm like, I have to read these. They're gonna go away. So
I know. They always come
I'll
up
get
at
back into it.
time.
They do. They come up at the worst time.
Oh yeah, what's your Hogwarts house?
Oh, I am a Ravenclaw.
Oh, that makes sense.
Husband.
That tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks. Yeah.
Yeah, my husband.
We're both Gryffindors.
Oh, nice. My husband, we haven't determined yet officially if he's Gryffindor or Slytherin, because he kind of bounces back. So
Yeah, if I was not Gryffindor, I would be Slytherin.
And I would be Hufflepuff.
nice. I love it.
If I had to pick a secondary, I would definitely be Slytherin.
We have a very. Are we up to that question?
Yeah, I think so.
We have a very important question. It's very serious.
Oh dear.
Serious question
Out
this
of
whole
all of them.
episode.
I'm here. I'm ready.
What is your favorite soup?
Oh, girl.
Yes. Okay.
As I mentioned before, I've written 2 cookbooks.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now we have some good
Girl,
insight.
we need to get these cookbooks.
I make well, there's 2 soups, one from each cookbook. The first cookbook, it's my Italian gnocchi soup, and it's kind of a spin-off of the one from Olive Garden, but I have a bunch of food allergies, so it's like gluten-free, dairy-free.
Girl! Becca's a dairy
spicy.
girl.
I'm a dairyology girl.
I got you.
Oh. I knew we were going to be best friends. I knew it.
It's so great. Yep. It's comfort without compromise. So I wanted comfort foods without compromising my health. And so I came up with a couple recipes in that soup. I literally is the only recipe that people still tag me in. They're like, I made this soup. I made this soup.
I cannot wait.
We will be making this soup.
We will.
Awesome. I can't. Please tag me because I absolutely love seeing it. And then in the second cookbook, there's a potato fennel soup, That's really good. It's so starchy and so delicious. I accidentally bought fennel instead of leeks one day, and I was like, well, this was silly. And then I was like, well, we're going for it. And I just did russet potato with some fennel, and it's so good when you're not feeling great because it fills your belly. The fennel is a throat soother, so it soothes the throat. A little bit of I make homemade gluten-free croutons on top, and it's chef's kiss.
Amazing.
Incredible.
I cannot
We are
wait.
such soup girlies.
We are.
I'm a soup girly too. I love soup.
I feel like it says a lot about a person if they don't like soup.
Yeah.
It does. My husband doesn't like soup. It kills me. I know. He says it's not a meal. But if I make it hearty enough, it's good. So these two soups are both husband approved. I know. I agree. Babe, you have a red flag. He says if they're hearty enough, it counts as his meal. And so both of these soups he will consider dinner. And I'm like, check, I did it.
That's very fair.
So
Yeah. But also, we are very much girl dinner people as well.
oh yes, same.
So I feel, I don't know. We just get it.
Girl
Girls
dinner
get it.
is the best. It's the greatest thing ever. Like, all I need is a snack plate for dinner, and I am the happiest person alive.
For sure. That's so funny. But yeah, we love soup, and we love soup adjacent things, like things you eat in bowls with
Stew,
spoons.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm a brothy girl. I went to Tokyo and had the ramen there, and I mean, I still daydream about it because it's so brothy and so good.
Oh yeah, we are ramen girlies, pho girlies. Oh my gosh, give me all the soup.
Literally just anything in a bowl. Like
Anything in a bowl, yeah.
Yes,
And if you
spoon
can
in a
have it with chopsticks, like even better. And then
Oh,
one of those like bowl spoons that
Oh,
like really,
Yes, the broth
Yes.
spoons.
yes.
100%.
it's so good. I feel like my favorite soup right now is something I made last night.
Yeah.
It changed.
Oh.
Are you ready?
Okay, so ready.
So I was really craving just a hug. And so I was like, what is a hug
In a bowl.
in a bowl? And like I know it's viral right now, but the like lasagna soup type situation. So I made that, but I made it a little bit more heartier and I added like eggplant in it and
Yum.
just like a bunch of I like poured all of the seasonings in there
Yeah.
and a bunch of other things I added too that I normally wouldn't. I can't even think of at the time, but it was so good. And then my little dairy-free cheese on top and some like oat milk in it, and it just made it just like
Yum.
Yep. Oh, I'm salivating. You guys.
I know my mother doesn't like soups, which is crazy, and she had some of this and she was
liked
like,
it?
she goes, "This is the best soup I've ever had."
Yum.
Thing. My baby's
Yum.
in the starting solids era, and so I just get a bunch of veggies and all this stuff. So it's a great excuse to make soup because I'm already
Yeah.
steaming vegetables and stuff to make baby food. So I've been also stocking the freezer with soups along the way, and it's the perfect excuse to make soup and baby
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. I love a good like chicken noodle soup or tortilla soup is great, but one of my little secret ingredients, and I actually made this for my husband when we were dating, and he did love this, so this is a win. But are you guys familiar with Harry and David's? They have the pears and like the chocolates. They're in Oregon, but they're really quite famous for their pears. But you can order it online. It's pepper jelly, and I think Trader Joe's has it too. But it's a pepper jelly, and I just take a big old scoop of pepper jelly and I throw it in my chicken noodle soup, and it adds a little bit of heat, a little bit of sweetness. It's like sweet and spicy, and it is my
Yum.
secret ingredient for all soups. Pepper
Oh.
jelly.
I love that. I
We need to do
put
that.
cinnamon in chili.
Yeah, that's good. A little
Ooh, that is good.
yum yum.
Yeah. I would put cinnamon in chili. Absolutely.
It's so good.
Love that.
Well, thank you so much for chatting about our soups and
Books and soups.
your books and soups. That's what this segment should be called, not authors Q&A, books and soups.
Yes.
Books and soups. I love it.
Done. But thank you so much. Do you have anything else to say? No. Do you have anything else to promote, or maybe
To
your
plug.
socials, where they can find you, where they can find your books?
Yeah. So I'm most active on my Instagram, which is at jessica.noelle. That's where majority of my book content will be. I do have a website, but best place to order is I actually got In Pages Left Behind on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm really excited about that. So it is on Kindle Unlimited, and it's at Barnes and Noble, the physical, and the physical's on Amazon. Amazon's being a little slow to upload the cover photo, but if it says In Pages Left Behind by Jessica Noelle and Molly Camacho, who did the cover, that is my book. And then the Kindle, for some reason, too, is being weird, and it's just in the Kindle store. I don't know if that's odd for Amazon, because it's my first time doing Kindle Unlimited. But if you just search on Amazon, the Kindle won't come up. But if you go into the Kindle store section, it's the first one to pop up.
Gotcha.
So, yep, that's where you can buy it and read it. And I appreciate all of the support.
Yay! This has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for chatting with us. And
Thank you.
You've been listening to Tipsy Book Reads. Bye!